A very frightening quiet has settled over Sanaa. Missiles upgraded, naval blockades poised, and the Houthis say they will not reveal all their cards, not yet. But if Washington becomes the spearhead in a war with Tehran, the Red Sea could ignite once again. As tensions rise between the United States and Iran, Yemen's Houthi movement, formerly known as Ansarullah, is signaling readiness for a broader confrontation. Yemeni security sources opposed to the Houthis told Yenet that the group has significantly strengthened its missile capabilities and is prepared to resume Red Sea operations if conflict erupts.
The Houthis are expected to reimpose their naval blockade in the Red Sea once they receive instructions from Tehran. They are the most dangerous pro-Iranian group. Although technically and militarily their missiles and weapons are not effective against U.S. power, in practice they threaten the economy, trade, and international shipping.
According to the report, the Houthis prioritize disruption of maritime routes near the el-Mandeb Strait and the Gulf of Aden, choke points critical to global trade. A Yemeni researcher speaking to Anet said the scale and duration of any US-Iran conflict would determine the Houthis' response. If the confrontation is limited and swift, the group may confine itself to symbolic support, including conventional missile launches. But if the war drags on, escalation would likely be gradual and deliberate.
If the war with Iran drags on for an extended period, the Houthis will gradually escalate their attacks, reach higher levels, and use more advanced missiles over time. They will not reveal all their cards at the outset. There are reports that the Houthis have recently developed several military technologies and that Iran has provided them with experts and technology.
The researcher warned that a prolonged conflict could push the Houthis to expand targets beyond Israel, to include US bases and regional interests, describing Washington as the spearhead in any new confrontation with Tehran. On maritime strategy, the assessment suggests a renewed blockade would mirror previous Houthi operations in the el-Mandeb Strait, the Gulf of Aden, and the Arabian Sea, potentially with expanded coordination. The group may also attempt attacks from the African side of the Red Sea, leveraging networks and cells in parts of the continent. Somaliland was cited as a possible focal point, given its reported ties with Israel. Israeli analyst Danny Katrinowicz of the Institute for National Security Studies cautioned that despite previous strikes on Houthi infrastructure, the group's capabilities have improved, including multi-warhead ballistic missiles, and warned that assumptions about deterrence may prove misleading. Inside Houthi-controlled Sanaa, a local source described an emergency atmosphere and a very frightening quiet, reflecting fears of impending strikes. Separately, Abdul Malik al-Houthi criticized Arab normalization with Israel amid renewed US diplomatic efforts to expand the Abraham Accords. In a televised address Thursday, he said,
"What the Arab regimes are doing under the guise of normalizing relations with the Zionist regime only increases the oppression against Islamic nations. In light of this blind approach by Arab and Islamic governments and regimes, the cost of the Zionist regime's defeat and collapse is rising day by day."
The comments come as countries including the UAE, Morocco, and Bahrain remain signatories to the 2020 Abraham Accords.
The Israeli enemy is hardly ambiguous or mysterious, given its open statements about expansionist and aggressive aims to dominate a vast geographical expanse of the Islamic Ummah's lands.
As diplomacy falters and arsenals expand, Sanaa's silence reflects a region bracing for a potentially wider war.